What I'm going to show you is the ultimate, as the title says, the Ultimate 25-Yard Challenge. Now this is something that I came up with last summer. It's it's very, very difficult. And if you're not really good at it, you can waste a lot of ammo, to say the least. Now, what it is cutting thread, weighted thread, and there's a frame that goes with it, and I'll show you how to make the frame. I'll show you a full one, and we'll go from there. I'll just describe it to you. Now, the thing that what brought this about was we were cutting cards. You know, I'm sure you've seen that before, and we thought to ourselves, you know what, this is too easy. And the thread that we use is embroidery thread, which is about half the thickness of a playing card. And the problem with playing cards is you can only stand them up straight. So, you know, what you're doing is, you know, your elevation is always going to be consistent. And it's always the same, and you only have to worry about windage as far as, you know, cutting the card. And not only that, but if you just touch the card on the side, you're more than likely going to cut it. And you know, you've got almost a half an inch of width there to where you'll actually cut the card. Now with this thread cutting, which I have named the Tuco Challenge, and if you've ever watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you'll know who Tuco is. He was played by Eli Wallach. Anyway, the problem with the thread, if you want to call it a problem, is that the thread will flex. If you just touch the edge of it, or if you hit it with just the edge of the bullet, especially if you're using round nose, the thread will actually flex, and I'll show you that here in a little bit as well. So you've got to hit it dead nuts on. Now we've even had times where we frayed the thread, or cut a little piece of it, but it stayed. And if you do that, it's considered a miss because you didn't cut it. We have a weight on the bottom so that the weight drops, and then you know that you've actually cut the thread. And the reason we did it, when you see the frame, the reason it's gone through several evolutions. When we first started, we just hung thread down. But if there was any wind at all, the thread would move. And then it was virtually impossible to hit, unless you got just lucky after 50 or 60 shots. So what we did is, what's the word I'm looking for? I improved the frame to get it so that the actual thread that they're shooting at is stable. Even though the weights hanging down can move in the wind, the thread that you're shooting at stays absolutely still. Now there's two ways of doing it. I'm going to show you those two. You can either hang it straight down, which then you're just essentially doing the same thing as cutting cards, only it's a little more difficult. Or you can do it at an angle, which is what we do. And it's infinitely more difficult to do. Because now not only does your windage come into play, but your elevation as well. And we even tried one time to cross two threads and try to cut both threads at the same time, right where they cross. And that's virtually impossible, because what you're going to end up doing more than likely is cutting one thread, and then the other one is there. So anyway, that's the Tuco Challenge. And I'm telling you, it's very, very difficult to do. I'm going to show you how to make the frame, and then I've got some older footage with 3 or 4 of the guys out shooting it, and I'll tack that on. That was done sometime in the summer. I can't remember when. I think September. Anyway, and there's already shots taken. You'll see that on the video. So without going any further on this, what I'm going to do is turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you the frame. Okay, this is the frame. It's made out of 1x2, and I've covered it completely with duct tape, colored duct tape, simply for chuckles, and plus I don't like splinters. So let's get down to it and let's take a look at it, okay? You'll see on the top we have some screws, and I use a short screw. You don't want to use hooks because they can bend too easy. I found that out the hard way. So I have screws along here, all the way down. They're like 2 inches apart, all the way down to the end. And then coming down here, I have eyelets, as you can see. Okay, and they're the same way as before, as these screws up on top. Now, the thing that you have to concern yourself with the screws is that they go all the way down into the wood, because they have there's a little piece, you know, how they're bent around, there's a gap there. You can squeeze them tight, and I've done that, but the thing that I do is I just push it down so that the screw, the little gap is down into the wood, so the thread can't come out. Okay, now I'm going to show you what we did. We have made some dowel like this, cut a little groove into it, and then we wrap our thread around that. Okay, and then that way when you're out at the range, you don't have to spend a lot of time tying little loops in them and stuff like that. Now, the weights, I used 2 large bolts. The bottom one I fill with lead shot, just to give it some more weight. You don't need that much weight, but that's just the way I did it. And the weights are entirely up to you how you're going to make them. Now, what I'm going to do is put a couple on here, show you what they look like, and how the different ways of doing it, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I use as a backing here, because I've got a piece of black on there, we have what you call foam core. I know you've probably seen it. And I buy this at Dollar Tree or any discount store. It's cut, the width of this is 7 inches, okay? And it's 30 inches wide, because that's how wide my target stand is. Because I use foam core for everything, and the foam core is 30 inches wide. Now I cut the foam core to 6 3/4, so that I've got a little bit of room in there to jockey it around. It doesn't matter that it sits there loose, because what we do then is I have 2 great big clips like this, and we just clip it to the target stand with the clips, okay, and it holds it in. And that's about it. It's very easy to make. I've probably made, I don't know, 10, 12 of them now. I've got 3 of them here. And everybody that's seen this out at the target range has said, oh man, I'm going to build me one of those. And this thing has taken our rifle range by storm. I mean, everybody's shooting this now. And it's kind of like golf. It can be frustrating. You know, you sit there and you shoot, and actually the bullet hole is right behind the thread. Problem is, the thread flexed. Okay? And it went boom, flexed out, and you know, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to hit it dead nuts on, or you're not going to cut it. So that's about it. If you make one, do a video of it and post it, and let's take a look at it. Okay, I'd like to see it. Thanks for watching, and good luck if you make one, because you're going to need it. And I should say too that if you hit it in one shot, it's actually pretty lucky. The average is anywhere from 7 to 12 shots to cut the thread. Sometimes you get frustrated. We've seen as many as 70 shots. It just tore up the foam core to try to cut the thread, and finally just gave up because there was no place else to shoot. There was nothing but a great big hole there, and you couldn't see where you were hitting anymore. Now, as one other thing too is, you know, a lot of the targets that we see on here they talk about groups. I'm shooting for group. I'm not shooting for the bull. Well, here you have to shoot for the bull. The group will take care of itself, believe me. Most of the groups that you shoot on this thing, you can cover with a dime or less. And that's just the way it is. Because remember, you're only at 25 yards. So it doesn't really behoove you to sit there and say, oh, well, my groups are crappy, because they're not going to be. unless you're using some really crappy ammunition and a bent barrel on the rifle, your scope's all messed up. And talking about scopes, even at 25 yards, you're going to need at least a 12 power. At least we think so. It's up to you, but a 12 power to be able to see the thread. Now the threads we use are fluorescent orange or fluorescent pink, fluorescent green, fluorescent yellow, and white. Now we also use a white background, and when we do that, we do black and red thread. And that about does it. Let me know what you're doing. Take it easy. Okay, here are my weights. Like I said, they have it's 2 big bolts, and I use a binder ring just to facilitate hooking them up. Now here's the thread. You can see the thread here. Goes straight up. This one is set up straight, and then it's wrapped around and tied onto the screw. Okay. Now when you cut it, it falls down. Over here, let me back this out a little bit. There you go. It's at an angle. All right, you can do it either way, and because of the way these things, this is set up here, from here to here, you can actually, by going to here or to here, you can actually cut down the angle, or you can increase it. Depends on how you want to do it, okay? Now there's room enough on here. We've put up like 8 or 9 of them on here at one time, and that's just the way it works, okay? Now I've got a couple other things to show you here about this, and then we'll have it done. I'm holding the camera, so, and I'm looking down at the, well, I'm not looking through the viewfinder or the little screen. I'm actually looking down here. So I'm going to pause this again, and then I'm going to show you something else, okay?
Hold on.
Yeah!
It's going to the left. Way left. What's going on?
That's 3.
It's like your scope's off, buddy.
Well, your barrel is cold too.
Oh yeah. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, that's.
I'm like right on it. See that?
Yeah, I know you're right on it, but you got to hit it square or it's not going to cut.
It's got to be right on it.
Just there you
go.
go. 2.
2?
2.
It's because I warmed up the barrel.
Yeah. Jeez.
I love it.
There you go. Finally.
You up, John?
What was that, about 15?
Yeah.
About some. I
You
was
up?